Here,
Thanks.
don't try to impress anyone. You're brave, we all know that. Be simple, be direct. Nothing fancy.
Nothing fancy.
Now that's a proper introduction.
Dune and Arrival are in the same universe. Just let me explain for a minute. The heptapods that we see in Arrival are not aliens. They're time-traveling Guild Navigators. A Guild Navigator is a senior rank of artificially super-evolved humans that mutated through the consumption and exposure of spice melange. These navigators literally have a mental condition that allows them to see the future and safely navigate interstellar space in starships called highliners. Before going on with this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more content. As for heptapods, they are said to be a sapient alien species that are 9.8 meters in height and speak a language that is unpronounceable to humans.
I don't understand.
But what if they're not aliens at all? In Arrival, we see them communicate through a glass window, and they never leave their spaceship. Perhaps because that weird gas that they are breathing in is actually spice gas, and their ship acts as a giant tank to keep them immersed in it at all times. This would make sense considering the fact that Guild Navigators need to be constantly consuming spice in order to fully access their ability to see through time and navigate interstellar space. My theory is that these heptapods / Guild Navigators are from a far distant future, even farther than the events of Dune. My reasoning for this is because even though the heptapods from Arrival and the Guild Navigators from the 1984 Dune do have similarities, there's still very contradicting features between them. For example, the heptapods are named as such because they have 7 limbs coming out of their body, and Guild Navigators seem to grow webbed feet like a fish. However, in the original 1965 novel, Paul wonders if they are mutated to the point of no longer appearing human. With this in mind, we can speculate that as time passes, they will be able to mutate into the very likeness of a heptapod. What reinforces this theory even further is the overall look between the highliner portrayed in Villeneuve's Dune and the heptapod spaceship. The spaceship from Arrival looks very much like a futuristic highliner if you ask me. Louise was able to survive for several minutes in the heptapod's environment, which means it contains some amounts of oxygen. In theory, this would mean that the heptapods are in fact humans, but have mutated into something unrecognizable, which is exactly what a Guild Navigator is. Denis Villeneuve is either accidentally creating a cinematic universe between his sci-fi movies, or he's just a sneaky little genius. When asked about the highliners, Villeneuve says, "We went through a long period of design. We came up with that shape. I knew we had the right one. It feels like an echo to the worm. And at the same time, it feels like it could be seen as a Stargate." I like again to not explain it and try to stay in a zone of the unknown. I think it's absolutely beautiful, and that's where we took a little bit of liberty from the book, where it has a feeling that it could be something that is folding space in a way. Now compare this to what he said about the heptapod spaceship. The spaceships, I thought at the beginning of the screenplay, they were described as spheres, and I felt that shape had been used before in sci-fi, so I made research to try to find a shape that looked fresh, looked ominous, frightening, but that will bring a feeling of humanity from a human point of view when you stand beside it. A certain amount of fear. He goes on to explain that he based the look of the ship on an oval-shaped dwarf planet called Haumea, which is roughly the size of Pluto. Since Dune and Arrival are directed by the same person, it's possible that there are similarities in the film simply because he is the main source of vision. I mean, he only has one brain. What gets my attention in Villeneuve's statement is that he says he wanted the heptapod spaceship to bring a feeling of humanity, and he talks about the highliners invoking a feeling of having the ability to fold space. So are these similarities a coincidence, or is Villeneuve trying to tell us something? With all this in mind, we can deduce that these futuristic highliners do in fact have the capabilities of traveling to the past, only with the assistance of the Guild Navigators. They are able to reach their destination where they meet Jeremy Renner and Amy Adams. The Guild Navigators / heptapods travel to that time period to give them coordinates to Arrakis, where they can start harvesting and producing spice melange. That might be a bit of a stretch, but I think that would be pretty cool to see a Dune and Arrival crossover on the big screen. What do you think of this theory? Is it plausible? Let me know in the comments. See ya!